Hello ladies and gents, thank you for waiting with us, but we are now live into game number 2 in the picks and bans between TCM and LowLandLions. This is the Riot Turkey Invitational 2, and this is day number 4, quarter-final matchup if you have just joined us. First game was very one-sided in the end, going to TCM with their Kassadin Belgian beast, but surprise, surprise, Pulse, we said this in the break, Kassadin more than likely going to get a ban. Here we go, first ban right off the bat from LowLandLions.
Hardly a surprise, and in the first champion select, I honestly felt that LowLandLions had picked themselves into a corner. They got to the point where they're like, oh, we've just picked Shyvana and Ahri, and now they've picked Kassadin. Bet, I guess we'll just have to put our bot lane against her and then screw over our mid laner. So this time they're picking... Okay, they banned out Ahri as well, so they're leaving their options open. There's a lot of good mid lanes still out there, and we'll see what they pick up. There's a lot of priority picks coming down already. Now waiting to see what TCM bring out of their back pocket, but with Kassadin being off the board, it's going to be a little harder to completely snowball the game in their favour. Let's see what they bring out here.
Yeah, but if you remember from game number 1, Pulse, Orianna and Gragas were banned. They're both now open. And also a lot of respect being shown to Koi as well, because he played Shen last game, was crushing top lane really hard, and he's been banned out as well. So lots of targeted bans coming out here thick and fast. However, with TCM having the first pick up here, going to be interesting to see if they do go for the Orianna or if they do go for the Gragas.
Yeah, there's a lot of respect coming out from both of these teams so far. Another 12 seconds on the clock. It could be absolutely anything. Orianna is out there. Gragas is out there. In fact, they're hovering over the Caitlyn. A very solid first pick. I believe Caitlyn is one of the most played champions in Challenger, Diamond and Platinum in solo queue. And now waiting to see what LowLandLions respond with. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Gragas, an Orianna, or even the Fizz come out. And they are hovering over the Shyvana, and in fact have locked it in. That's going to give them a lot of counter-jungling presence once again here, metas. However, it does weaken their laning phase, but they don't really have any of those threats to really worry about in terms of Kassadin snowballing out of control.
Yeah, definitely, and it's quite interesting for me to see Gamers Legend go Shyvana again, because it was no fault of his own, but his Shyvana didn't really have that much impact in game number 1. As you said yourself, a lot of his Dragon's Descents were cancelled, so it didn't do a great deal of damage, but I didn't feel that it had that kind of presence across the board to really get LowLandLions into that game. Matroko did play Caitlyn in the first game as well, had a pretty convincing victory there at the bot lane, so not too surprising to see that one getting locked in, but I'm going to be interested to see how they try and counteract that Gragas in mid, because it's just so strong right now.
Yeah, Orianna being hovered over, no real surprise right there. Now they're looking to something to be their ball carrier. Aatrox is also left open, so could be their jungler. I'm not sure if their jungler Nuterador plays Aatrox, but Zyra will also be brought out with Caitlyn. Very good synergizing combo, as we spoke about in the first champion select. Great amount of poke, great ability to control the lane. LowLandLions still waiting to bring out their bot lane. We'll see what they do in response, but Orianna will need something to get her ball in the right place.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, Aatrox is open, so we have seen a lot of Aatroxes recently, and is very good for that ball delivery system with the Dark Flight. But we're going to have a quick look at what LowLandLions is going to pick up. So going up against Caitlyn. Caitlyn is regarded as being one of the top tier AD carries right now, has a lot of range, is very irritating to play against, especially with the Zyra. It's definitely going to be Zyra support, because Orianna's going to be mid, and they're actually going to go for the Syndra and Aatrox themselves. So this is an interesting lock-in here, Pulse. We've seen a lot more Syndra recently. What's the reason for that?
Syndra is just one of those champions who is very strong. One of her major problems was the fact she's a single target mage, but she does have some AoE built into her kit, and her AoE stun is absolutely amazing. A 1.5 second stun at that range is unbelievably good. Against the sort of common mid laners at the moment, and people are really gearing up towards the next mid lane meta, Syndra is one of those champions who can really fit in exceptionally well. Great amount of CC, utility, and burst damage when necessary, and also picking out the Aatrox to kind of deny that ball delivery system is something they could have taken in the jungle. And Zac is something that we don't really see too often anymore because of the general nerfs, but in the top lane we do also see it. However, looks like they will be locking in potentially the Jax and the Nunu. I know Nunu, I believe, is Nuterador's most played champion in the jungle. Or that might have been Gamers Legend. I think it's Gamers Legend. Yeah, it is.
Well, the thing is, going back to the Syndra pick, is we saw previously in the Riot Invitational that Kylie's was playing Syndra as support. and did it to extremely strong effect as well. So that is going to be locked in for bot lane. Now it just depends on what they're going to go for with the AD carry. Corki has been banned out, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to run with something along the lines of Vayne. Not that that would be necessarily too smart against Caitlyn. Of course, you can always have those lane switch ups coming into effect, however. Kind of an empire actually here, have to say, Pulse, because you've got the Orianna Ball, the Absolute Zero from Nunu, and then the Stranglethorns from Zyra. If they lock them into a close-knit, claustrophobic environment, there's a lot of burst damage on the cards here for TCM.
TCM have a really nice jungle fight, but at the same time, so do LowLandLions. They have a lot of AoE in an enclosed space. They also have Shyvana, who does crazy amounts of AoE damage, and then they have Aatrox to sit on the front line. At the same time, Ashe will be brought out just to be on the back line. Incredibly good front line as well for Ashe to really deal with that. They have the late game scaling, and they have everything else in between. So another 45 seconds on the clock before we get into game. Everyone going to be swapping on up. But most interesting thing to me is the fact they have the Gragas and also the Aatrox as well as Syndra. So wondering where all these champions are going to go. Shyvana in the jungle. And then, of course, one of them are going to have to be support.
Well, I'm 100% sure it's Syndra's support, because we've seen it previously in the tournament. Kylie's is LowLandLions support player and has played Syndra support before. Heat is their mid laner, so Gragas mid would make a lot of sense, and Morsu is their top laner from last time was playing Aurelia. So I think that's the way it's going to go. Aatrox top, Gragas mid, and then Syndra down bot lane with Sneaky's Ashe.
Yeah, and could be a very interesting lane, in fact. A lot of zoning control from that bot lane, and kind of a substitute for Zyra. But with 4 seconds remaining, we will jump up to a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we'll be in game for the second game of this best of 3 between LowLandLions and TCM. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Riot Turkey International Invitationals Day 4 Quarterfinals with the second game of the first best of 3 with LowLandLions and TCM. I'm Pulse and I'm joined by Metas as both of these teams shape up very nicely into the level 1, kind of fanning out on both teams. Neither team really looking for the invasion, but at the same time there's lots of wars going down. Metas, how's it going?
It's going really good, dude. I'm just hoping from a spectatorial viewpoint, this game's a bit closer than the last one. If you have just joined us, LowLandLions were steamrolled from TCM in game number 1, mainly down to the fact that Akassadin was on around a 9-0 scoreline from Belgian Beast, so that was banned out. And Oriana, although can get that ball rolling very quickly, definitely not the same caliber of snowballing champion as Kassadin.
The one thing I'm thinking about TCM's composition right off the bat is they don't really have a solid ball carrier. I mean, the ball carrier works because it increases the range that Oriana can instantly lay down the shockwave, but it just kind of reduces that if you don't have a solid ball carrier. They do have Jax, but Jax's general playstyle in the recent meta has just been to farm top lane, keep on pushing all day. That's Jax's life. We saw Dignitas run Jax in the top lane with Nitrix, and all he did was push. He was 0-0-0 by nearly the end of the game and had a huge impact because he drew more than one person. But now with the Aatrox coming into the mix, he should be able to duel against Koi, at least for the early game, and if he stays on top of Jax, then at least they have someone who can deal with him. Meanwhile, it looks like Nuterador is going to go with a fairly standard jungle start, and now Nunu versus Shyvana, who perform very similar roles.
Yeah, and this is what the LowLandLions bot lane actually did last time as well. They wait in this tri-bush, something not a lot of duo lanes will be expecting, to put down all this burst damage. They've gone for it again, forcing away that flash instantly from Matroko. So a successful little play there from Kylie's and Sneaky at the bot lane. And this is just a carbon copy from what we saw yesterday or the day before, actually, that me and Spuddington were casting. Now trying to vie it out for this ward control. And it looks like Kylie's going to come out on top once again.
Yeah, Kialis comes out ahead, and that'll be Syndra bot lane as support. I believe Kialis has a fairly good track record with Syndra as well in that support role. And Syndra has, well, CC on demand. She's got the slow. She's also got Scatter the Weak, will be a 1.5 second stun, which is, I wouldn't say really reliable, but it's very difficult to be good at Syndra, but it can work in that role. A bit like LeBlanc as support. It gets to the stage where she can just 100-0 your AD carry, which is kind of scary. Also, you can do some pretty fun things with minions as you throw them around and interrupt people and screw around with their pathfinding, but Mulsu and Koi in the top lane haven't really engaged just yet.
More of a farming frenzy up there right now, but what that forced Matroko to do was not only burn flash, but go back to spawn as well. So you can see that that is negotiating itself into a level advantage for Sneaky. If it keeps going this track, of course, they will be hitting level 6 before Matroko as well, and it's going to get very, very scary. You can see that poke damage that Syndra can just fire out with the balls, and it's very, very difficult for Matroko to even get in range with Caitlyn, which is honestly, Paul, something we don't say too often about Caitlyn.
Yeah, and that bot lane works very well. 600 range on Sneaky, and also Kialis with very long range with her zoning is very difficult for Barney D and Matroko to deal with, especially because the wave was pushing early. However, this has opened up Nuterador for a potential gank if he comes in from around the side now. That double buff, we'll see what it can bring out. If Kialis is on point with the Scatter the Weak, they should be able to get out to dodge, but it is on cooldown for another 10 seconds.
It is, but to be honest, I mean, Nunu's not necessarily one of the most terrifying junglers coming in for a gank. Yes, he can ice blast you down and slow you down, but it's not hard CC, it's not going to keep you locked in place. It was all going to have to come from the grasping reach from Barney D, was not able to connect, and therefore this LowLandLions duo lane is continuing to just push down the pace. Scatter the Weak will land again here on Matroko, who's being constantly poked down. However, here comes Nunu from the backside. They're going to get the first blood, actually, with Nuterador picking that one up for his team, and now they're looking to even it up and connect the dots on Gylas as well, who should be falling to Matroko. So for all that early aggression and dominance from the LowLandLions bot lane, they're actually gone 2-0 behind.
Yeah, now it's going to be very difficult for that bot lane from LowLandLions to catch back up again, because they have the inherent advantage with their champion picks, but now giving that kill to Caitlyn will make it very difficult, and Zara can sit in the bush. As soon as she gets bush control, it's very difficult to get her out again. The seeds make it difficult to either get in the bush or initiate on them, because by having them there, any point in time, she can turn them into one of her plants, and then that's a huge amount of damage to dish out early. So, not something they can really aggress onto. They'll have to play this very well, but Caitlyn will have the inherent advantage against Asher's top lane gets initiated on.
It does. Also does take actually a tower hit. Here comes the Ignite, however, and the counter play is coming in from Jax. Koi will be able to survive as well by the skin of his teeth, so in doing so, couple someone is burnt, but that all-important Bloodwell has been used from Morsu.
Yeah, and probably hurt Morsu more in the long run because the passive has gone down. Would have been a kill without that passive, and Morsu will have the inherent advantage. We talked about this earlier metas, but now with Jax kind of having that ability to go one-on-one, because the big scary thing with Aatrox in your 1 versus 1 situation at the top lane is if you duel against him and you win, then he's just going to come back up again and then kill you. He doesn't have that luxury, and now he's just a standard top laner. Jax can really punish him for the next couple of minutes.
He certainly can, and I just have a look there, Nurtador, because he got that first blood, he's able to just instantly pick up the home-guarded routes of mobility to get back into lane even quicker. Here he comes, take 2, here comes the sequel, Ice Blast goes down, Scatter the Weak pushes back Nunu, but they have jumped in with the Grasping Root. Sneaky's going very low here, forced to pop off the barrier, and that final auto-attack from Barney D will pick up the pieces for that 3rd consecutive kill at bot lane. It's looking very one-sided against LowLandLions now.
Yep, and with that 2nd kill down, Ashe is falling further and further behind, is still full CS ahead as they had that early advantage, but that is slipping out of their hands. Shyvana really can't do anything in return. Nunu performs a counter-jungling role just like Shyvana, has a slightly weaker clear, but has the ability to gank. His role in life is to be tanky and annoying. That's what he's doing at the bot lane. So until he gets to level 6, very little they can do as Kialis gets caught.
Oh man, this burst damage is insane, and forced to go back, built up a Peacemaker, very nearly picking up that kill, about 30 hit points remaining. But it's such a complete role reversal, Pulse. They got the early flash burn, and then it was the Nurtador show, just coming down bot lane 3 or 4 times, managing to pick up kills, and suddenly Caitlyn Zyra looking very strong.
Yeah, Koi is looking very unthreatened at the top lane, and he farms behind Aatrox's tower. He should be able to farm under that tower no problem. However, it will mean that Shyvana will have to do something about it at some point. And the fact, when you're farming behind someone's turret, it means you're completely unthreatened. You don't think they can duel you, and you can 1v1 them at any time, even with the minions, which is a very scary thing for Aatrox. Until he gets his passive back up, he definitely can't do that, and Jax will get a free farm. So he is fairly far behind in the farm war, but if that continues, then Jax will just get to the stage where he murders your entire team.
Oh yeah, definitely. Once Jax starts to pick up items like Trinity Force, Blade of the Ruined King, is where you really start to see the Jax show jumping into effect, and he is going to crush through AD carries like Ashe, who has no natural escape. If her flash is on cooldown, Jax is going to have a field day with Ashe. So definitely one to watch out for as this game progresses along. Would say though that Morsu's had a really nice job of farming that 73 farm at 8 minutes, Pulse. Nothing to turn your nose up at.
Yeah, they're in really good shape. I would say from LowLandLions though that they have a very good team fight. Their AoE is really strong and their picking potential is good as well. But in the top lane, Koi is doing incredible amounts of damage to Morsu.
It certainly is, and they're going to be jumping back on one another again. It's just a case of who will give up first in this game of chicken. The answer is Morsu, who dark flights back towards his own tower. His Bloodwell is not back up and available. Here comes the Empire attempt though from Nurtador. Can game his legend cancel the ultimate? Yes, he can. Morsu had just been life-stealing his way back up again, but it's not in enough time, and Shyvana will be falling. So that's a 4-0 scoreline now to TCM, and I'm getting a bit of deja vu from that last game, Pulse.
I feel like Morsu could have gone in earlier, even though he was on fairly low HP. With Shyvana tanking, they couldn't swap aggro that early, and Koi's counter-strike had already been utilised, and he had the knock-up from Dark Flight, and they were both in range for it. He could have gone for that, and he had Ignite, so even though he wanted the extra experience in gold to kind of also increase his HP at the same time, he might be able to salvage a kill from that.
Yeah, I have to agree as well, because he could have got his life back from the 2 players that were aggressing onto Gamers Legend. So it's a case of a bit of a head scratcher. But speaking of Morsu, he's chasing down Koi here. However, wrong place at the wrong time. Ignite's been popped down. Here comes Nurtador from the side. Can he claim the kill beforehand? Yes, he can. Lots of lifesteal coming in. There's the Bloodwell, just in time for Belgian Beast to go on Orianna and say, hello, I'll pick up that free kill, thank you very much, and go back to my lane. So didn't work out quite as well as planned. Bot lane in the meantime, actually. Here comes I'm Heat from the side, doing a lot of damage with that explosive cask and the barrel rolls, but is it going to be enough damage? Here comes Sneaky from the side, does pick that one up. Don't think he's going to get the double kill, however, onto Matroco, and they are forced to back. So it's a 1-for-1, in fact a 2-for-1, I should say, exchange globally in favour of LowLandLions.
Yeah, it was a good trade, and it will give them a little bit of gold. So they're only 1k behind. Piltover, the ultimate comes in, ace in the hole onto Kialis, will at least force him out of lane. And it's very disorientating playing against a home guard mobility Nunu, because he can just recall and then instantly be back at top lane. That's the reason why Morsu engaged, because he didn't think that he'd be back in that quickly.
Yeah, exactly, because it's not just the case that you're going to have the mobility boots and the very quick Nunu, but he's also got Blood Boil. So he's moving around the map even quicker. And it's as you say, it's very disconcerting to think, wait a second, Nunu just recalled and now he's back at my lane. How in the hell is that even possible? And it just kind of gives him a lot more global influence as well, Paul. So you never quite know where he's going to be. Syndra's about to walk into him right now, but he's actually going around the back, trying to pick up a kill onto Sneaky right now. In fact, opting not to do so at the last moment. May very well try a tower dive. Nope. Instead, they're going to back off.
Yeah, and then top lane is not looking good for Koi as he gets caught by Gamers Legend.
He does Dragon's Descenting backwards though. Okay. Bit of a misplay there, I think, from Gamers Legend. Was trying to push Jax back towards his tower, and he does just type ruffle in the chat as well. So a bit of a misplay. Meanwhile, Syndra has been caught out from Naruto, who's going to be popping down the absolute zero. Instantly pushed back from Scat of the Week, but there's Matroko to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, this is again snowballing out of control, and TCM have one of those teams. Koi is becoming a huge issue in the top lane as he decimates Morsu.
This is so brutal. Aatrox forced a Dark Flight away. Will manage to save his life for now, but this is allowing Jax to get some farm. Still, though, you have to say that Aatrox has been having a pretty good time at top lane.
He has, but the fact that Jax is still out-trading him being that far behind is very scary. He will eventually become an issue that LowLandLions have to deal with, and they can't just stick their heads in the sand. Giovanna can't do anything about it. She tried at the top lane and nothing really came of it. They are trying to take control of the dragon, which will give them a little bit of padding to allow themselves into the mid game.
But it's on top of a ward, so right now TCM know exactly what's happening. Their Drake clear isn't exactly brilliant. So this is allowing Barney D to come around from the side and Orianna as well. So can Belgian Beefs make some big plays? The answer is a no. Shockwave comes in, trying to pick up the kill afterwards, not able to do so.
Yeah, top lane now, Naruto. Will he get taken out by the tower? The tower picks up once. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but the assist, and the tower should be falling to Koi. Ash Arrow.
Oh, here comes the Ash Arrow. He's going to be going into mid. Belgian Beats has been caught out from Iron Heat. Can he pick up this kill though? Body Slam goes in. Yes, he can. He finalizes that kill. So they have managed to claw their way back. To be fair to LowLandLions, when you look at the goal differential, only 200.
Yeah, so that has allowed them to keep up in gold, which will help. Again, Jax is still something that they're going to have to deal with. Gamers Legend drops low and will be Dragon's Descenting out.
Yep, he should be just fine here. In fact, no, he won't be, because I wasn't taking into account the ace in the hole. Matroko says, no way, Jose, you are going down, and does pick up his third kill of the game. So that is a pretty beefy Caitlyn right now, and does nearly have the components finished off for that Bloodthirster. Needs another 400 or so gold, so going to go back into lane, pick up this CS, looking very strong.
Yeah, they've stopped the momentum play from TCM, which is really going to help LowLandLions out, and the fact that they have great picking potential. Aatrox is really good at doing that, so is Syndra, so is Ashe and Gragas. So to get someone out of position, even very slightly, they can translate that into a team fight. If they don't use too many ultimates again, they can initiate fights when they want. They can't really do that just yet. They are slightly behind, but they're definitely in this game.
Yeah, definitely are. This is a much closer game than game number 1 was. It looked like it could snowball down a mountain at any stage, but in all fairness to LowLandLions, they have stabilized the ship for now. Meanwhile, though, in the jungle, Gamers Legend forced back from his own red buff, and this is the true terror of Nunu. Once he starts to get ahead, Consume and Smite combination is so scary. Iron Heat in the wrong place at the wrong time here. Here's going to be explosive casting away. Here comes a Shockwave, not actually able to land, but the pursuit is on from Koi and Naruto, as he will be body slamming away. Here comes the counter-strike, and that should be a very dead Gragas question. Can they answer back, however? The answer is a no. Aatrox is going to pick up Orianna. Actually, may very well come around from the side, but that Absolute Zero is coming down very quickly, not doing as much damage as potentially Naruto was expecting, but it could buy them enough time to escape. Blade of Torment comes through, does catch on, and the Ash Arrow as well from the side. Here comes the Dark Flight as well from Aatrox, and the blink of an eye, it just goes horribly, horribly wrong for TCM.
That was the best possible scenario from LowLandLions, and that's what we just talked about, Messers. Their picking potential is insane, and they can do it from such a long range. Morsu is now, what, level 12, 5, 2, and 0. How much gold does he have in his back pocket? 1,500. Gamers Legend chimes in to take out this middle turret, and this has firmly put LowLandLions in a very good position.
Yeah, out of nowhere. It's just those picks, as you were saying. When they initially got the kill onto I'm Heat, I thought, okay, nice play. They're going to be able to escape. But then Aatrox came around, picks up the kill on Orianna. And I have to give mad props as well to Sneaky, because that was a beautiful Ash arrow. Actually arrowing in front of Nurtador, kind of anticipating the route he would take back towards his own jungle and managing to lock that kill down. And as you say, now LowLandLions taking a pretty nice lead here, 1.1k. But when you take into consideration that just a few moments ago it was looking really stacked against them, they're going to be feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, and that's 2 arrows in a row from Sneaky, which have been absolutely perfect. So when we get into this mid game, they can probably trade off against TCM fairly well. Nunu is about level 9, he's a little bit under level, but it is to be expected as he's doing a lot of work around the map, been ganking a lot, and Shyvana is a much better farmer. So we'll see what they can do in the next couple of minutes as this game progresses, but Nunu is in fairly good shape. He's tanky enough not to really be bothered about anyone, and no one really wants to be focusing him anyway. When he hits that level 11, he'll have some extra damage to be more of a threat, so they actually have to disrupt his absolute zero. Finds himself Kialis though, shouldn't be able to do anything. That was an interesting start of the week.
But Gamers Legend coming around from the side, Orbit Dragon sending in, facing the hole previously used. Here comes the Ash arrow again, landing on Barney D. However, Orianna is around the corner. This could backfire right now onto LowLandLions. Nice body slam out of Stranglethorns, but now Gamers Legend does have that bullseye painted on his back. Do they have enough damage? Absolute zero use just to slow him down. Constant barrage of damage coming in from Atroco, who has finished off the Bloodthirster. Isn't enough damage though. Scatter the Weak again. This time will be landing on Atroco and also stunning him. So that is going to stop this pursuit. However, with a couple players flashing up red and feeling quite vulnerable, they may very well try and push this tower pulse, especially as Syndra's just gone very, very low as well.
Yeah, Jax has come down to aid his team because he already can't fight Aatrox anymore, but Aatrox has taken one tower. They take one in return at the bot lane, but with Nunu being the one low, he recalled, now comes into the top lane. Home Guard and the mobility boots will get him there very quickly. They rotate to mid lane, and they should be able to stop this. Gragas has the wave clear, but the question is, Koi, does he want to go for this fight?
Well, he is stood on top of a ward right now. However, I don't think they can actually see him, especially Syndra is walking head first, phase checking, and will be punished with his life right there. And that could definitely translate into this mid tower being picked up as well. However, here comes the fed up Morsu. He's had enough of this bullying. Here comes Jax, however, from the side. Beautiful shockwave, pushing back everyone away from Belgian V, saving his life. But now Koi is taking the brunt of all this damage. The Descendants will be coming in from Orianna, speeding Koi away. They could potentially escape from this one. Both are pretty quick, but here comes the burnout from Gamers Legend, speeding him up as well. Where is the Ice Blast going to come from? In fact, not needed to be used just yet. It looks like they are all going to be okay here, Pulse. That looked like a pretty precarious position for TCM, though.
Yeah, TCM have very good disengage when they're together, and Belgian Beast, can he get out of here? He probably knows where he is. Body slams into the brush. He sees him. He doesn't go for it. Oh, Belgian Beast, get out with his life.
Yes, what I would say though is even though he missed that kill, this should be a free Dragon, because Dragon has just respawned, Orianna had to recall, the rest of his team barring Nurtador, so that is going to be a free Drake at the end of the day, and a very comfortable blue buff to I'm Heat as well. Regardless though, this game, Pulse, has been so good thus far, and I'm so happy from LowLandLions' perspective that it's much closer than that first game.
Yeah, LowLandLions have a lot of tools in their kit when they're still in the game in terms of gold, in terms of the advantages in the map and map presence. Morsu looking very good and one of the most difficult champions to go in this year.
Oh my god, that burst damage and Belgian Beast instantly dies. Beautiful Ash arrow again from Sneaky. Here comes the re-engage from I'm Heat, throwing in the explosive cast, knocking back Koi. Going to be jumping back in with the body slam as well, but doesn't have the follow-up damage, especially as Sneaky's pretty low. So they're going to get their pick and then back on away. Really nice engage coming out from LowLandLions though. It's insane amounts of burst damage they have.
They do, and that just comes down to their picking potential. And when you get a pick, you can go for a team fight, and then you win that as well, and then you can convert that into an objective. So they're just making so many power plays that TCM cannot respond to, and it's almost like an anathema to TCM's playstyle, because Naruto wants to be in the jungle, he wants to be stealing things away from LowLandLions, but at the same time, it's a very risky game to play when they have so much pick, when they have Drags, when they have Ashe, and also Kialas. So to actually do that is to put yourself in harm's way, where Nunu really doesn't want to be doing that. And TCM, they're playing like they're ahead, but they're really not.
Yeah, and just having a look at the goal difference between the two top laners here, you've got Morsu on just over 8,000 and Koi on Jax 5.7k. So there's a big chunk of change difference between those two. And we were talking about this in the break before, Pulse, that we both rate Koi as one of the best top laners in EU West right now. So to see a top laner of this caliber being completely decimated, for want of a better term, from Aatrox is kind of jarring, honestly, because he's normally in this position himself against the opposition.
Yeah, so right now I'm looking at TCM's perspective on this game, and they have very good disengage. We saw that before metas, but they need all their cooldowns off to do that. Does Belgian Beast have the damage to nuke down LowLandLions' front line? No. What do they have? They have Jax to be very annoying and push in the top lane and draw more people to him. Does that really work in this circumstance? No, because the kill's on the perfect person, they're on Morsu. So he can't trade off against him, and in a straight-on fight, Jax isn't that amazing. His strength comes from split pushing.
It certainly does, and he's not even finished off that Trinity Force yet, so he's not getting that big damage spike as of yet. And also with Aatrox getting an early Randuin's Omen, that's going to hurt not just Jax, but also Caitlyn. And Caitlyn is the Fed member right now on the team of TCM. So if Aatrox can get himself in prime positioning, which is very possible when you have an Ash Arrow and the explosive cask from I'm Heat as well, and the Randuin's Omen on top of Caitlyn, she's going to be pretty useless for a few seconds, and they should be able to exploit that weakness.
Yeah, Aatrox is going to be one of the major players in this game. He's waiting over the wall in one of those nooks in the game where you can't really see him. He's sitting right on top of a Seed though, will be hit in the face by it, and now just kind of comes the poke game. I'm not really sure why TCM want to play it, because they have Caitlyn, they have Zyra, yes, but in return they've got Iron Heat, and they have some pretty decent poke in return, and I'm not convinced they could win a team fight.
It's going to be really on a razor's edge here, Pauls. I feel whoever has the better engage will win. It's that close right now. Yes, there's more damage coming out from LowLandLions, but you've got Caitlyn, who's pretty big. Jax as well, even though he's not finished off the Trinity Force, is still going to be a huge threat and a big determining factor, I should say. I feel it's going to come down to how well Sneaky engages with those arrows. If it misses, definitely watch for TCM to be a bit more aggressive. You can see that they're respecting the Ash Arrow. They're like, okay, if that arrow comes in, we need to disengage really quickly or jump on top of their AD carry.
You can see TCM creating a defensive line in the mid lane with traps and also Zyra Seed. That'll make it very difficult for when they do engage to get past that line and then onto the priority target. But look at TCM's positioning. Belgian Beast being very aggressive, trying to get out the poke, because he's not that long of a range of an AP caster. He's very good at zoning them away, and they have a very good zoning team. But if he puts 1 foot wrong and Ash Arrow comes in at the wrong time, Belgian Beast gets nuked, as we saw in the last team fight. Matroko gets nuked. You have to be so careful. Nunu is not quite in the right place. However, Gragas forced into the bot lane.
Yeah, we'll be going to the bot lane, and that's instantly going to say to TCM, okay, let's engage this. In fact, they're going in really deep past the tower. Absolute zero's used from Nurtador onto actually Syndra, and now Gamers Legend is going, and realizing that Gragas is round from the side. Here comes the engage, the mass engage from the explosive cask as well from Iron Heat. Koi is really in no man's land, all by his lonesome. Will be getting picked up. Yes, they got the blood well from Morsu. Here's the shutdown, but on Zyra, definitely not the character they were looking for. However, better Zyra than nobody. 1 for 2 trade thus far. Sneaky's pretty high on hit points, but absolutely 0 on the mana. And looks like there's going to be a 2 for 1 trade. So at the end of the day, LowLandLions once again slightly coming out ahead.
Yeah, Trinity Force being picked up by Jax, and Nutador will not be stopped because he was in the last kind of half second before the recall came in. Matroko just over the wall, kind of pushing them away. It probably will be enough to stop them from pushing in. And New Terrador, of course, with the aforementioned mobility home guard, will be back into the action very quickly. So Morsu jumped in right there, and Koi did the same thing, but Koi got dropped and he had no way to get out. He flashed into the wall and failed flashed, and Morsu got killed by a Zyra plant, so it didn't work out very well for either of the top laners. But when we see Morsu with his blood well up for the next engagement, then he should, in theory, be able to do more work than Koi will.
Yeah, definitely. That being said though, Koi does have that Trinity Force, so that spike in damage now is going to be coming on up. And it comes to a point as well, Pulse, where I'm a bit confused, like, why is Jax not split pushing more? Is there a reason for that? Is it a case that they just really respect this high engaged composition from LowLandLions? But normally you see Jax is pushing top or bot to their heart's content and forcing away a couple players to actually stop that onslaught.
You can see Jax thinking about it, but they have too many players who can stop him. You have Gragas, who can just clear the wave. You have Morsu, who can not only clear the wave, but 1v1 him. So Koi isn't strong enough. it's kind of determined on him being stronger than most of the people on the map. But at the same time, Jax isn't great at team fighting, so he's better in the 1 versus 1s, the 2 versus 1s, but he's not got that luxury. He's not at the 2 items you kind of expect a top lane Jax who's gone full 1 versus 1 in the top lane. So Koi kind of sitting around, and he's forced a team fight, which is not ideal for TCM.
Well, Gamers Legend coming around from the side. There is a ward in that, a vision ward, so he has been spotted and will be pulling himself back. LowLandLions going to try and make some plays here. Dragon is up, expecting to see this dance for a little while. If Sneaky sees an opportunity, though, you definitely will see that enchanted crystal arrow flying on in from Ashe, so definitely want to watch out for here. They may very well try and trade this dragon for this middle tower. Looks to be what the case is going to be here, actually, Pulse, as you've got the blue side of TCM just rushing down mid, while that dragon's already been picked up from LowLandLions.
Yeah, TCM had to be careful of the collapse here by LowLandLions, but it just back on off. They have enough pushing, and it was a really nice call. It's kind of the classic thing you do. Can you fight them? No. Okay, just take their middle turret, and we can take it before LowLandLions arrive. We can do more damage than to towers than we can to your team. However, they've got to be very careful in this transition.
Yes, because Syndra is slightly behind right now, so this is a 4 versus 5 fight. Beautiful shockwave and stranglethorns on top of each other. The LowLandLions constantly disrupted, and they've picked up 2 free kills. Matroko now is taking the brunt of the Syndra ultimate, but instantly gets the shield from Orianna, and this is just gone horribly, horribly wrong from LowLandLions' perspective. I don't know if the communication was down, because they engaged fully in that 4 versus 5. Nurutador has flashed in to Ice Blast Sneaky, trying to slow him down. Flashing through, here comes the Gragas though, with the double kill. Could very well be a triple kill, but the shield again coming to the rescue of TCM, courtesy of Belgian Beast. So Gragas doing work, but still, at the end of the day, 4 for 2 trade.
Oh man, if Gragas had his ultimate there, that was surely a quadra just waiting to happen. Sneaky in the brush though, and Matroko was looking to hunt him down. You did see that, and Matroko was just going to take one of their jungle camps. But that teamfight was not good from LowLandLions. That was just TCM outplaying them. LowLandLions jumped over the wall with both of their bruisers, and then the perfect shockwave, as you pointed out, Metas, came into effect, destroyed and crushed their front line. Then LowLandLions, they had the back line all kind of scattered, and then they had to back off, but they couldn't because TCM were now on their face. New Territory was great in chasing situations, so LowLandLions were caught in the middle of no man's land. They lost their team fight, but not by much because of that amazing play by Gragas. Next time when we hit a team fight, we need to make sure they don't split themselves up too hard.
That was the issue, wasn't it? That they kind of went in single file, and we spoke about this even in Champions Select. We said TCM's composition excels in close-knit, claustrophobic fighting environments. That is exactly what they just got there, Pulse. They were happy to land all the CC and disruption, whereby both Aatrox and Shyvana died in a heartbeat. They insta-give themselves by being in that position. Syndra was round the side, wasn't able to join the fight, and the rest is history. I do just wonder though, when Gragas went in and got the double kill, Orianna and Jax were both extremely low. If Sneaky hadn't flashed through the wall, I honestly feel they could have picked up a couple more kills there, Pulse. So maybe just a bit too defensive from Sneaky's perspective. However, hindsight's always 20/20.
Maybe, but he's a 1-item AD carry versus Caitlyn, who was a 3-item AD carry. He, honestly, I don't think had the damage, even if he wanted to. If he was a 2-item AD carry, I would say yes, go for it. But in that situation, I genuinely feel Sneaky made the right call, and Heat sacrificing himself was also the right call. Again, it was just a pity he didn't have his ultimate, because it was used to decent effect in the team fight, but in that scenario, it would have been amazing. But again, hindsight 2020, and he didn't know that situation was going to arise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the communication was down, that's an entirely different matter. Maybe they would have stuck around, but regardless, that is in the past. And Heat did pick up a sensational double kill, which has allowed him to finish off items like Rabadon's Death Cap and Themes Unholy Grail, and has picked up the Blasting Wand, so that burst damage is going to be coming in very, very strong. I do feel, though, in a straight-up 5v5 fight out in the open, LowLandLions can still definitely make this game their own.
Yep, Syndra has recalled for wards, and in fact an Oracle as well. No wards on top of that, and has actually opted for the health potion. I'm not sure if I like that, and everything really needs to be invested into wards, because LowLandLions are really hurting when it comes to vision control. They have 1 ward compared to at least 6 by TCM. If they lose vision control, the Baron dance becomes that much easier for TCM, and they have a very, very good team for taking that very quickly. Barney D finds the last ward that was remaining from LowLandLions, so if they choke them with vision, Baron could go down in an instant, and LowLandLions would be completely unawares.
Yeah, TCM have a quick Baron right now. As we said many times, Nunu is the master at picking up these monster objectives, and they have actually started this one off. Koi and Ritsuo are going to be taking this one down. They're able to transition themselves, taking aggro because of the consume that will give Nunu back some health. In the meanwhile, they're poking down with Ace in the hole. This is a nice play from TCM. They're giving away the idea of, hey, we're not actually doing Baron, we're just baiting you into it, whereas actually they chunked it down to half of its hit points. They're not going to be able to finish it off just yet, though.
Yeah, LowLandLions notice, it's like, hang on a minute, where is the two people who could possibly duo Baron? They're not here. Shockwave comes in.
Oh, Shockwave and these Strangle Thorns once again. Koi has been hit from the Ash Arrow. Here comes Sneaky from the backside. Beautiful absolute zero though from Naruto, doing so much damage and zoning out the remainder of LowLandLions backwards. Yes, he ends up dying, but that could have been so much worse from TCM. And now LowLandLions are forced to back away as a few of them are flashing up red.
Yeah, Morsu not in good shape, neither is Gamers Legend, but their AD carry and AP carrier are in good health. However, Koi also has to back off, so they're not going to go for another engagement. One kill goes down, advantage to LowLandLions, and they have also stopped them from taking Baron. So, and every step of the way, TCM is being stopped from building up momentum, and that's very helpful for LowLandLions, because they probably do transition slightly better into late game. However, if you do have Jax into the late game, then he's again going to become one of those factors. He's kind of like Fizz in that respect. Give him a couple kills, give him a bit of farm, and he's always going to be relevant. They have to make sure they suppress Jax and make sure he never becomes an issue again.
Yeah, but he is slowly but surely getting there now, Pulse. He has the Bilgewater Cutlass, Triforce, as you mentioned before, and the Negatron Cloak as well. So, not too sure what that's going to go into. Maybe a Guardian's Angel further down the road. But regardless, it is looking pretty nice. Could also be the Spirit Visage as well, Pulse. I mean, why would you expect him to take that Negatron Cloak?
Yeah, it could be the Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage at the moment is one of the best items in the game. It's so cost efficient. Even if you don't need one of the stats, you might as well buy it anyway because it's just that damn good. Health, also with the regen, it just gives you everything. And for many top laners, it's just a matter of getting either Randuin's Frozen Heart and then get a Spirit Visage, and you're pretty much set for defensive items. And just realize one of the reasons why Kiala's probably picked up the Zyra is not only is the Syndra. Zyra is one of those champions who is so common that Syndra counters her quite hard in lane because you can just pick up her plants and throw them elsewhere. And I actually just saw that happening when Zyra was trying to get some control over the ward and pushed Kiala's back, and then she just took a plant, threw it elsewhere, and just took the ward herself. So, actually works very well in the vision control game. However, Morsu potentially caught in the top lane does, however, have his passive.
He does, and Gamers Legend is here as well, and there's the cavalry coming up from the rest of LowLandLions, so maybe bit off more than they can chew right now, TCM, and they have instantly backed away, because a couple of picks is going to go into a free Baron. Both teams are very aware of that fact, so that's why they're playing a tiny bit more passive and being a bit more defensive.
Indeed, and now we see the classic Baron dance. Kialis takes an ace in the hole to the face, and wow, that damage matters was, ow, that hurt me, and I wasn't even on the receiving end of that. So, plants come down, Gamers Legend mops them up, and now they're forced to back off. They can't really split themselves up as we saw in the last team fight, but if they have the front line in the right place, they have the back line in the right place, they can easily displace TCM into a bad situation.
Yeah, and I do like the build coming out from Shyvana as well, going for that Warden's Mail. They are very much aware that Caitlyn is the main threat right now on the side of TCM. Yes, Belgian Beast Oriana's putting down a lot of damage, but it's Matroko that's been cleaning up these team fights, getting those picks here, there, and everywhere. So lots of items built against the AD carry of Caitlyn, who, as you rightfully pointed before, Pulse, is a long way ahead of Ashe. That being said, if Sneaky can get some farm here, and if this game does go on for another 10-15 minutes, Ashe will become a monster. She scales very well into late game. So it's a case right now of Sneaky's trying his best. He's picked up the static shiv, which is pretty nice on Ashe, plus the fact that beforehand the Avarice Blade was giving him some more gold. But again, it's that Baron dance. With Gragas at bot lane though, TCM may try and make some plays.
Oh, Kialis takes another ace in the hole to the face, and they go for the initiation.
They do, because Gragas is bot. This is just a misplay, I have to feel. Naruto goes in. Here comes the Strangle Thorns as well. The AD carrier Sneaky is constantly being hit here, there, and everywhere. And Oriana picks up that first kill. Now the AD carry is completely on its own, but there's the Gragas burst damage as Zyra gets completely popped. Koi in the meantime does pick up a kill on Ashe before being taken out from Syndra, and now Matroko in that front line trying his best to take down Aatrox. Does not manage to do so. Caitlyn now going to be picking up the kill on Gragas. It's gone for a 3-on-3, which actually, you know, Pulse, isn't too bad from LowLandLions' perspective when you consider that was a 4 versus 5 for the first 30 or so seconds.
At the same time, Belgian Beast only hit his ultimate onto one person, and it was the person who had been itemizing defensive items. So it didn't really scratch Aatrox too much, but at least it forced him out of the fight. As they chased down Gamer's Legend, he had to walk all the way around the jungle, rejoin his team, and then finally Gragas came in. It was very messy, it was very sloppy from LowLandLions, but it was also very sloppy from TCM. Had that been a more decisive team fight, then it would have hurt them a lot more, but 2 for 2, it did leave them with the AD carry and AP carry, but the minions weren't in the right place, so it didn't make that much of a difference in terms of the game as a whole, specifically because Morsu didn't lose his passive, and that meant that, well, that's a free Guardian Angel that's still on the board, so the fact that Heat died for Aatrox's passive was honestly worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, but it is starting to get a bit scarier for LowLandLions, because that is a Blade of the Rune King picked up on Koi, so he has hit that kind of scary part from Jax's perspective, and Ashe still looking fairly weak right now, it has to be said. 36 minutes on the board, that's just an Infinity Edge static shift. Fair enough, there's a pickaxe there as well, but when you compare that to Caitlyn's build, there's a big discrepancy in damage being output from these two AD carries.
Yeah, Caitlyn hasn't itemized that much since the last time we saw her, but she's still definitely ahead of Ashe. Ashe will scale up towards the later and very latter parts of the game, if it even gets to that point. But Caitlyn for now is in very good shape. They have a very tanky front line, but Nuterador's kind of utility in this game has scaled off very slightly as the vision control intensifies and will make him harder to kind of land his ultimate in the right place, and there's a lot of opportunities for them to disrupt that. But LowLandLions make a very aggressive play onto Baron.
They are, because they saw Nuno at bot lane, but what they're not taking into account is Blood Boil and Boots of Mobility gets him back into contention very quickly. Baron is below a quarter of its hit points right now. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. LowLandLions have taken a lot of damage from the Baron. Here comes Dragon's Descent and the Explosive Task as well, knocking back Koi. Not as much burst damage anymore, and now Jack's a very scary period where he is just ripping through everybody left, right and center. That's a 4 for 0 trade. Make that a clean ace from TCM. The triple kill to Belgian Beast, and that in a nutshell is the GG. They did go in very hard for the Belgian, for the Baron I should say, the Belgian, but unfortunately in doing so they weakened themselves up and allowed TCM that prime positioning. I called the GG because I feel this is pretty much going to be over. Even if LowLandLions do come out to spawn here, they're going to be at least an inhibitor behind, and it looks as though they may even push down these Nexus towers.
Yeah, not just that matters, but they can make a push that will almost cripple LowLandLions for the rest of the game, even if they don't win here. That last team fight was quite questionable from LowLandLions. They started on the Baron, and they were not in the fight in the position where they could go for a team fight after taking so many hits from Baron. Koi destroyed them. It was a perfect ultimate from Belgian Beast. Hit 3 people, chunked them down by at least 40% for each person, and that's the GG well played. I felt LowLandLions had a much better chance in that game, but they just kind of threw it away.
They did. You know, I made a mistake there and said I went for the Belgian, but that's kind of what they did. After they went off Baron, they all went all in on Belgian Beast, and he's like, okay, Shockwave. Have fun. Have fun dealing with Koi and Matroko now. And the Stranglethorns as well, knocking you all in the air. And as you say, it was a questionable Baron attempt. Maybe it's a case that LowLandLions thought they had a quicker Baron clear than they actually did. When they saw Narutador at bot lane getting some of those creeps, as I said, they didn't take into account the Blood Boil and Boots of Mobility, but maybe it's just the case they thought they had more damage than they actually did. And that put them in a really bad position, because when it came through to that 5 versus 5 fight, as we said, Jax is starting to hit that critical mass period, but they're also all about half of their hit points. So they were going in handicapped.
They were. Maybe they just thought that they needed to make that type of play because every team fight either was going not as equal as they wanted it to, and maybe they were gradually slipping behind, and as time progressed, then they would eventually lose the game. But as it was, that was too bold of a play. And for this stage in the game, they definitely could have gotten their AD carry into better shape. They definitely could have had the team fight to have eventually beaten TCM. Nunu's utility would have worn off. Jax wasn't fed enough at that stage where he could just kill everyone. It did in that team fight because they initiated badly. And Orianna, she had damage, but she didn't have as much damage as she would have liked. The only real threat that they had to be scared of as they progressed into later on into the game was Matrocco. So either way, I felt LowLandLions could have won that game, but we will be progressing on to the next game, which will be Roughnecks versus Copenhagen Wolves with Metters and Spuddington. So that will be the last of May. So if you want to check me out on my social media, that will be @Impossible on Twitter and facebook.com/watchyourpulse on Facebook. So any closing remarks before we head off, Metters?
Well, I would like to give props to LowLandLions. After that fairly one-sided opening game, it would have been easy for them to just kind of fade away into obscurity, but they came out swinging, and they've made a real go of that second game, Pulse. As you say, I mean, that one fight really did lose the game for them. Up until that point, it was very, very even. However, I think that's going to do it for us for this game, Pulse. So we'll be back very shortly, hopefully, with the second best of 3. As you said, it's going to be Roughnecks up against Copenhagen Wolves. We'll see you right after this.